Midwifay. Today I wanted to do another Midwife Moments where I share the time that I had a patient whose father-in-law was her doula. That's right, this woman had her father-in-law in the birth room when it was all happening. Let's take a listen. Okay, so this story comes from when I was a labor and delivery nurse in Orange County. This woman, let's call her Mary, she was about 34, 35 weeks pregnant, so she was preterm. And I don't remember the exact situation. I know that she and her husband lived out of state, but her husband's family is originally from Orange County area, so they spent a lot of time visiting. This was their second baby, and they were kind of visiting now, you know, as their kind of last trip before the baby came. Her husband was a commercial pilot, so again, they frequently traveled from whatever state they lived in, I don't remember, to Orange County to visit family. And they would just hop on whatever flight that they could. So again, this was kind of like their baby moon to celebrate and see his parents one last time before having the baby. I remember she had a low-risk pregnancy, no reason to think she would go into labor early, hence she traveled kind of towards the later end of the travel recommendation in pregnancy. Again, she was like 34, 35 weeks or so. So on this particular night, she was home sleeping and her father-in-law was also home, and her mother-in-law and husband were out with their friends. He was, again, I told you he was a pilot. They were flying like a private flight somewhere, you know, like just for fun, and she didn't want to go. She was tired, and neither did her father-in-law, so they stayed home sleeping. She said she woke up to her water breaking, immediately called her husband, who is God knows where, you know, doesn't really have cell service, flying, and she was shocked. You know, she's preterm, she didn't expect this, didn't really know what to do. She called her provider back home, wherever that home was, and they said, you know, if it sounds like you have a really good story for your water being broken. She was like, yeah, but I'm not having contractions, like it's okay, you know. And they're like, no, if you think your water's broken, you need to go to the nearest hospital. So she wakes up her father-in-law because she can't get a hold of her husband or mother-in-law who's with him, and she tells him, hey, my water is broken. Also, now I think I'm starting to have contractions. I'm so sorry. What's the nearest hospital? Can you please drive me there? So they get in the car and they come to the hospital where I worked at. So they arrive. I was working labor and delivery. I wasn't working triage, but from what the triage nurses tell me, when she arrives there, she looks definitely uncomfortable. She's clearly leaking fluid, but you know, she doesn't look necessarily pushy yet, but definitely like she's starting labor. And her father-in-law keeps trying to basically drop her off, right? He's like, all right, here you go, Mary, and trying to leave. And she keeps saying, no, please just stay with me. Stay by the phone. Maybe you can reach, let's call John. Keep trying to call John. So he's calling John. The nurses are working her up, saying, yes, indeed, her water is broken. The laborist who's there at the time introduces himself to her. You know, they explain with an early baby what they can expect. So everything's happening quickly for her. She's progressing quickly with her labor. I don't remember how many centimeters she was when she got admitted, but early labor. But obviously her water is broken. So finally she gets to labor and delivery, and I'm one of the nurses. And by the time she gets to me, I mean, she's looking real pushy, as I say. Okay, she looks like she's transitioning. Again, her father-in-law, bless his heart, he is like, okay, all right, here, Mary, I'm gonna go out to the lobby. And she just, at this point, had the death grip on him, like, no, you're not leaving me, you know, like, he was the only point of contact she knew. She's in this strange hospital. She's never been here. She's preterm, right? She doesn't know anything. So she's like, please don't leave me. So I saw this one point where he just kind of decided in his head, he's like, okay, she needs me here. She wants me here. I'm not going to get to leave. Let me just lean into this. So things are moving quickly. Eventually, at some point, her husband, John, answers and frantically is like, we're on our way. She starts feeling the urge to push while we were waiting for her epidural. She didn't get an epidural. I checked her. She was completely dilated, ready to push. Called the NICU team in because baby, you know, is preterm. And she just went into warrior mode and just ready to push her baby out. And her father-in-law, again, bless his heart, he was there with her. Now, he was definitely up by her head. In fact, his back was completely towards the bottom half of her body, but he was like looking at her in the face and saying, Mary, you can do this. The doctors are here. John's on his way. You know, just all of these very sweet, encouraging things. And she pushed her baby out. The baby came out crying, fine. Of course, went to the NICU team at the warmer for observation. But really, the baby looked really great when he came out. I'm pretty sure it was a boy. At that point, after the baby was born and she kind of came down off of the big hormones and, you know, adrenaline of needing to push her baby out, she looked at her father-in-law and was like, thank you so much. You know, I appreciate you being here. If you want to go to the lobby now, you can. So, you know, we had covered her up with like a drape and he stepped out and went to the lobby and just waited while, you know, she delivered the placenta and all the other stuff that had to happen. And he just waited in the lobby for her. And, you know, it was just such a unique time. Obviously, he was not a doula in the traditional sense of the word. He didn't do any double hip squeezes or affirmations, but really, when she made it clear, my man, you are not leaving this room. You're the only support person I have. You know, he kind of knuckled up and got into it, appropriately so. And it was just really, really fun to see that. I can't say that I have had a father-in-law in the room other than that time. I have had a couple fathers, like the patient's father in the room. I have had a patient's brother in the room also. But in terms of male support people other than the husband or partner, it's generally rare to have in the room. So this was just a fun story that I wanted to share and a fun memory that I have. Comment down below, who was in your birth room? Did you have your father or father-in-law? Please, as always, like, subscribe, share this video with someone else you think might find it funny. Take care. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.